tonight I wanted to maybe help you out with some things perhaps that weren't so obvious to you. Maybe there are things you didn't know you could do. And I'm happy to field questions about pretty much anything, because quite often it's the little things that annoy us when we're VPE, isn't it? It's less the let's get people to check in and let's get people to sign up for roles. I think most of us have kind of got that bit down. It's the extra bits that people ask us to do that aren't so easy. And some of it is what I would call back office work. And some of the things that you put into place can make your life a lot easier when you are putting people into your agendas. So the first thing I'm going to go for is actually, I'm going to show you the back office. Now, if I had anybody here from the easySpeak team, the official sort of support team, they'd be going, no, don't show them the back office. But actually, there's a couple of things that I think some clubs need to know how to do for themselves. And it will actually stop multiple people keep saying, oh, how do you do this? How do you do this? So as long as somebody teaches you the right way and you make notes and you don't start fiddling about with things you don't understand, then you won't get into a pickle. Okay. So one of the first questions I've had already is it possible to delete a long list of past venues? Because obviously some places have had to try out lots of venues. It's annoying when you're creating your new meeting because you've got to go and find the one that you want. I'm pleased to say there is, and I'm going to share my screen and show you how. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. Weirdly, it hasn't got a blue line around it. So I'm just going to stop it there for a second and try that again. It should have a line around it. Okay, yep. So can you see Shropshire speakers in front of you? Yeah, great, good. That's working properly then. I'm also going to expand the gallery for myself because I want to see you while I'm doing this. I want to see if your hands are up. I want to see if you're frowning. I want to see you. Brilliant. So this is an example of the front page. This happens to be Shropshire speakers front page here. And to get to the control panel where we're going to delete those extra venues, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And in really tiny letters at the bottom, it says Club Control Panel. So hopefully you can see my cursor there, Club Control Panel. I'm going to click on that. And let's try again. I might have rejected that. Let's try again. Right. So I was already logged in. So usually it'll take you to a login page with big red writing that says, "Here be dragons," because they're trying to make sure that people don't accidentally log into the back office and start making a real mess of things. Now, I'm just letting you know that you can make a mess of things in here. So if you are unsure, don't do it. Get someone like me on a Zoom with you and we'll do it together so that we can't make a pickle of it. Down this left-hand side, you'll see there's a menu. And these are the most useful things here. So where we've got locations edit, you click on there and lo and behold, so we've only got these 4 in Shropshire speakers locations, but I would imagine the person who asked me the question has got a whole raft of venues in their list. Well, over here to the right-hand side, you've got a little X in a box, and that is a delete icon. So if you had 27 venues, you could go in and delete all the ones that are no longer relevant, never going to go back there, so that your list will be a lot shorter when you create your new meeting and you need to select a venue. Are there any questions on this particular thing? Hopefully that was nice and clear. Thumbs up, brilliant, fantastic. Okay, whilst I'm here in the back office, I will also show you that you can create a member status that allows you to very easily give roles to visiting Toastmasters. Now, some people will use guest, visitor, special guest, all sorts of things. And you can design it yourself. When I go to member status down here on the left-hand side, you see here, Shropshire speakers, we've got a few different types of member status, but actually we only really use member, visitor, and visiting Toastmaster. So the visitor or guest is the person who's come along and they're not a member yet. And so I won't be assigning any speeches or roles to them. So that particular status will not allow me to assign roles to that person if that's the status they've got. If they are a member, obviously I can assign anything I like because they're a member of the club. And a visiting Toastmaster has the same kind of level of opportunity as a member of our club, as we know. So that's why we might like to have a different one called visiting Toastmaster. So say Elizabeth Jordan came along to my club and wanted to join in and do a role. Well, I would join her into my club. I'd add her and I would give her the status of visiting Toastmaster. And I'll show you what that looks like on my club. I'll just open a new window so I can stay on the other one. Okay. Whoop. Thank you, Google. I've got on here, this was or is the next meeting, the 15th of February. I've got 3 categories: the members, which is obviously the people who've paid up to be a member. We've got our visitors or guests, and we've got a list of visiting Toastmasters. So it's very easy for me to say yes, and then it will allow me to allocate things to them. Now, you can fiddle about with them and give them all sorts of, yes, they can do this, and no, they can't do that. And that's what these columns here are. Can they take on a role, yes or no? List them online. Past users, there's all sorts of bits and bobs in here. Do you want to include them in the meeting email? So I've got that as a no, but I can still toggle that group to include them if I want to include them in a club mass email. So it's nice to have that option, but it doesn't automatically put them into my club mass email block, if you like. Whereas I absolutely want my members and guests to be in there. A visitor, I might not want to give them information about the conference because they're not a member yet. Or I might, to entice them to join, who knows? But it's nice to have the choice. And in order to edit this, I'm just going to move and zoom out the way because it's in the way for me. Hang on a second. It's the problem with having a little laptop. Small screen, need to get a second screen. So over here on the right-hand side, you can edit it. So let's look at visiting Toastmaster. And if I edit it, it looks like this when you create it. So at the bottom there was add, so you can create a new one. And you get to decide what it's going to be called. You might not like the term visiting Toastmaster. You might want a different term. And then you're describing, are they a full member of the club? No, this person isn't. Can they manage meetings? Well, who knows? Maybe the visiting Toastmaster is an area director and they're coming to do some stuff at our club. So I want them to be able to manage our meetings. You might decide not to. It's your prerogative. Can they make a speech at the meeting? Some clubs might say, oh no, you'd have to plan that in with us and we'd have to do a special thing. Other clubs are like, of course you can, you're a visiting Toastmaster. If there's room, you can. It might be you have to wait a few weeks because we've got a pipeline of speeches, but absolutely. And so on and so forth, toggling on and off the things that you want this role to be able to do. And then you just save it. And it saves it as the person. Now, the ones that are on here, you'll probably already have some of these, like past interest, no email to be sent. And that's usually when somebody perhaps has been a guest just the once, or maybe they used to be a member and they're no longer a member and they don't want to get the emails from the club. So they do have a choice to be taken off the system completely, or you can just mark them as past interest, no email to be sent, and they'll be essentially archived. And you can see here in my club, I've got 46 archives. What that might mean that as we've had 3 years of weirdness, I might go back to that list and I might send a personal email to an individual on that list and say, hey, how are you doing? And start a conversation with them. And then I might say to them, hey, do you think you might come back to us? So they're not in a newsletter scenario, which they have unsubscribed from. I'm actually using my personal connection with that person because I have met them. So they're unlikely to say, how dare you email me, for example. If they do get like that for any reason, you can say, just apologize and say, I'm very, very sorry. I will remove you entirely so that we do not contact you again. That's very rare and unlikely to happen, but just in case it does, you know what to do. Are there any questions at this point about this?
Sam, that's a great feature. It was one of my questions I was going to ask. Would you show us again where you found the visiting Toastmaster? Just, you found it at the bottom of your own list, was it?
Yeah, so if you imagine that wasn't there, I just went to add and created a new status.
Yeah, but before that you found it.
Oh, do you mean on my agenda page?
Yeah.
Yes, so it shows up on my agenda page.
Oh, visiting Toastmaster, I see it.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Because some people have visited us more than once. So it's quite nice to be able to just say, yes, I'm coming.
Sam, there's a message in chat with Richard.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam, for that.
Great. How do we comply with GDPR through easySpeak? Do details of members present at historic meetings fall off? No, they don't fall off. They are archived unless they specifically say, could you remove me from your database? That's generally how it goes. And it's up to our integrity to make sure we don't abuse that.
And sorry, Sam, do you know if that complies with GDPR, or I'm guessing that it does? It does.
Yes. So as long as we are not contacting them as per their wishes, we can keep their data safe. We are not using it for any other purpose than the original form that they would have signed.
Yeah.
And they always have the right to ask us to remove our data completely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Elizabeth's got a hand up. Go for it.
Thanks, Sam. Just about removing someone from easySpeak. So if you delete them from, say, for example, my club Tyne, if I delete somebody and they're in other clubs using easySpeak, does it delete from the other clubs as well?
Yeah, so you can't delete a person. You don't have that power, I'm glad to say, because that might be catastrophic, because you'd lose all the data of all the speeches they've ever done. Oh, that'd be awful. You would need to ask someone at sort of Kit, Christopher kind of level, the major support team, to do that kind of deletion. When you are changing their status, their relationship with your club, you change it to past interest, no email to be sent.
Yeah.
But they remain whatever they are with the other clubs. You're only changing your club's relationship with that person.
All right. So when they say to remove them, then you cannot actually remove them.
You can apply to Christopher or Kit.
Oh, I see. You have to apply.
And say, please, could you remove this person completely from our database? Yes.
Okay. And
quite rightly, we shouldn't be able to do that.
No, if you remove them, then you're removing everything from every database that's linked to easySpeak.
Literally, they won't exist, and none of their data will survive.
But a member can remove themselves.
I think they can. I think at the bottom of the thing,
there was a guy who was a past Toastmaster, and he came back, but he deleted himself. I couldn't find him, and he deleted himself.
Oh,
and
dear.
There was no, basically, you had to reinstate him. But yeah, it's good to know. So, all right, so we can put them as a past Toastmaster, but past user, but not have to physically remove them. And if you do so, I mean, one thing, maybe you could just delete the email, and that way you would never send them one.
That's true. Yes, you could do that. Yeah.
Okay,
that would work.
Sam, I think you're wrong on this about GDPR. I believe that GDPR says you cannot keep past information that is no longer significant to you. I think, I might be wrong, but I think that if you've got a list of people that used to be members and are no longer in any way connected to you, I'm only talking technically here, but as you're giving information out, I think you're wrong to say that you can actually keep those people listed. Once they're gone, they should be gone forever.
Okay. Right. Well, we'll need to check that on how that process needs to take place, because we'd probably have quite a lot of emails going to Christopher and Kit saying, please, could you delete this person? So it's a really good point to raise, Bob. Really good. So I might ask Elizabeth Jordan if she'll jot that down. Is Elizabeth still here? Yes. Is she? Can't see her. Oh, no, it won't expand. Great.
Yeah, Elizabeth's still here.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yes, if we can jot that down and make sure we can get clarification on that, I think that's really important, Bob. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, brilliant. Thanks. Right. One of my members is locked out of easySpeak every few months. She can't reset as her email address isn't being recognized. This happens a lot if people are using a work email, or sometimes if you're using an email like, so it happens to me. I've got an email that's connected to WordPress and redirected to Gmail. So it's not a gmail.com, it's a mybusinessname.com. And I've tried to use it on easySpeak. It'll work for a little while, and then suddenly I'll get, your email address doesn't work anymore, you need to change it. There's been a rebound or something from your server, which there's no reason why that would happen. It's just a Gmail address. So I have to use my Hotmail. So it might be that what they need to do is create a generic online email address and just have it redirect mail into their account. It's a bit annoying because you have to create a new email address, but that's just for the purposes of this software being able to send you an email. So I might go in and create a, I don't know, samwarner@gmail.com. I'm sure someone else has that, but whatever. And then I would tell my profile, that's my email address. All emails would go to that. And when I'm in Gmail, I'd say, right, Gmail, forward it to my Sam at my business name, because that's the one I use all the time. So that's a workaround for that.
Sorry, could you repeat that, I wonder, please?
Yes, of course, yes.
Thanks very much.
No problem. In fact, I'll open a profile so that you can see what I'm talking about. That might help as well. So if I go to my profile. Okay, so here's my profile, and I've got my email address here. Now, I had to put my Hotmail address in because my other address that I use, the main one I use, which is sam@getyourmessageacross.com, is one that I use on from my website, but it's run through Gmail. So I open up Gmail to look at those emails. But for some reason, the software in easySpeak doesn't like it. And it will quite often give me a message saying, oh, all the messages bounced back from this email. And there's no real reason why it should, because it's a Gmail server. But it does. So what I do is I say, okay, then you can have my Hotmail address, Samantha Warner _ you know. And what I do is I tell Hotmail to redirect mail to me at my Get Your Message Across address. So I still get the mail coming to where I want it. But easySpeak is just fine with Hotmail addresses. It loves them. Or Outlook, as it would be now. I'm an old adopter. Does that help?
It does, Sam. It does. I'll say that to the member who's having problems.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. So having problem inserting a new item into meeting agendas. Oh, right. Okay. So let's hop over to meeting
again.
Agendas. Yeah. Just going to scooch that down out of my way. So here we have a meeting. This is my next meeting. And if I want to put things into the agenda, up here, I've got meeting and agenda buttons. The meeting button, if you weren't already familiar, is the one where you can change the bones of the meeting, when it meets, what time it is, where it is. So hopefully that problem we solved at the beginning means you've got a shorter list here of the drop down for the venue. and you can give it its theme, and you can select its current agenda. And this is also a good place to change the current agenda if you need to as well, and then just press submit. Just thought that was worth mentioning.
It is, because I'm having problems with that.
Okay, and then the agenda button gives you the detail of the agenda. So this is where you can much more easily refine your agenda. I think that's a good word.
That's exactly where I'm having problems.
Okay, so
with that page.
What's happening for you?
You see, when I come onto the left-hand side, it says move up one or move down one.
Yes.
And when I do that, it never works out, actually, because I do click submit, but then it tells me at the end of the page to select the agenda that I wish to delete, and to and various things like that. It's down here.
So if you're just making changes to the agenda on this day,
yes,
you do not need to touch any of this stuff at the bottom.
Or don't I?
No, you're only touching these if you're saving a template for all time.
Oh, I see. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So don't worry about these bits. If I was to make a change, let's make a change now. If say I wanted to move the president's introduction, I can use my little arrow button.
Yes.
Okay, so that's now at the beginning. That's it now. That's saved. That's how the agenda will look. So when I click on detail, we can see the president's introduction is now before Sergeant at Arms.
Oh, I see. So I keep away from the end of the page.
Yes. Yes, please. That would be great.
Oh, thanks very much.
Back.
Yes.
So it won't change it for the next meeting.
Yes.
It's only changed it for that meeting.
Yes.
So it's only when you make a change because actually you've decided maybe your club doesn't want to do table topics first, you want to do the speeches first, so you've swapped things around a bit.
Yes.
That would be the time to go down the bottom and save it as an agenda item or replace an existing agenda.
Or if I want to put in, if we only have two speakers and a third person comes forward at the last minute and wants to speak.
Yeah.
Is this the same? Do I manage that the same way by?
Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could insert the extras. So I've got here two speakers. Say I wanted a fourth speaker on here. So it's exactly the example you're talking about.
Yes.
What I would probably do is I would line this up and I'd go, okay, so what items do I need for a fourth speaker? I need to introduce the fourth evaluator. I need a points about the next speech, and that's the evaluator doing that. That's how we do it in our club. And then I need a speaker slot, and I need the complete the evaluation slips. There's 4 items associated with that, and a 5th one, which is to give space for the evaluator to give their report.
Yes.
And so I can just manually add them in. It's the easiest way, I think, where I can just say, okay, well, let's put it in. So in that position there, I would put introduce the 4th evaluator. And that's the job of the Toastmaster of the evening. So let's grab Toastmaster. Okay, pop that in. As we go down, we can go and see, introduce. I've deliberately left the time off so we could find it easily. And then
sorry, Sam, how did that appear?
I used this bit over here on the far left. It's an insert.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I'm going to do the same again. So introduce the 4th evaluator. We know we need points about the next speech, and we haven't got a 3rd evaluator yet. So I'm first of all just going to drop down here, and I'm going to put the evaluator in. So I'm going to insert above our recess, and I'm going to put evaluate. Ooh, if I can spell it. Evaluate 4th speech. And we know that the evaluation is 2.5, and it's 3. There we go, that's already done that. And we know this is the 4th repeat of an evaluation role. So we have to put a 4 there so we don't get an error. And then we can put new agenda item.
And you have actor there. Is that you had actor in the role?
Yes. So we would go and find evaluator. Well spotted. Evaluator. Wonderful.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Go. And there is our fourth evaluator. Obviously, you can edit this if you want these to look beautifully uniform. So it would say evaluate speech 4. I'm not paying attention to the detail.
Yes.
But then we can go back up to here where we had introduce fourth evaluator, and we can say, okay, well, the next thing we need is points about the next speech by that evaluator. So I'm going to go over here and insert that, and I'm going to go points about next speech. We know it's the evaluator doing that one, but in particular, it's the fourth evaluator doing that one.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And then I want a minute for that, and then you can save it. So now when we come down, we'll see fourth evaluator, points about next speech. Now we need a speaker. So we're going to go in again and make sure we insert a new speaker. There we go. And this is the fourth speaker. So we need to give them a proper slot. And we leave that blank because they're going to put a title in of their own. So I just put speaker and 4 and save it, because whatever project they pick will tell us the time, it'll tell us what it is, etc. So for now, we can see we've got a fourth speaker in here. And yes, those have got times, but they're just generated by the system on this agenda anyway. It will pre-populate when they put their speech in. And then the last thing we need is complete evaluation slip. So after the speaker has spoken, whether you're online or not, the Toastmaster will instruct everybody to complete some kind of feedback. And you might have a couple of minutes on the clock or whatever to do that. I'll just put one in for now. So those 5 items that we've put in has now allowed us to go from, I'll go to there. So from introducing the third evaluator, and we've copied exactly what we did for the third one on the fourth one. And when we go back to our agenda, we will see that it has created the fourth speaker space and the fourth evaluator space. And if I go to the detail agenda, we'll be able to see them on here too. Oh, I didn't tick the box for it to appear on the on the detailed agenda. Rookie error. It's because I'm rushing. So if I go back to where I was, there we go, and I go back to the agenda, then I would make sure that these items were going to appear on the detailed agenda. So if we go to the fourth one, for example, fourth evaluator, we've got print this item on the summary agenda. No, yes. And if we wanted a line afterwards, we could. That's what that spacer is. It's a bit confusing calling it a spacer when it's a line, but that's the way it is. And so now when we look at the detailed agenda, we've got fourth speaker and fourth evaluator points about next speech. So as soon as I change that one, we will also have the fourth evaluator on there. So we go down to the fourth evaluator, print the item. Yes, please. And then when I go there, lo and behold, what? He's not there. Why is he not? Oh, I see. There's a line. That's why.
You've got to change the line after your third speaker.
I do. Thank you. I was like, what's going on? So we'll take the line back on the third one.
It was there all the time, but it was below the line.
Thank you so much. It's so weird having people watch me do this.
No, it's good.
Normally at home on my own. There we go. So now our fourth evaluator is where I wanted it to be, on there.
And you don't put in after the first evaluator. You don't say Toastmaster now introduces the second evaluator, or the general evaluator now introduces the second evaluator.
No, we don't tend to in our club because it's so quick. It doesn't take a full minute. So we know we do that, but we don't tend to put it on the agenda.
Yes, yes. That's fine. It's something that we can do as well. Cool.
So I'll just close those down so I don't get in a pickle. There we go, back to there. And we'll go back to the agenda. I'll take all those out later. I don't think we've got 4 speakers next time. We might do, you never know. Right, have we got any more questions? Let's have a look. Is there anything in the chat yet? Oh, I can read it, but it won't let me send something. We can read it, but it was a previous note that I haven't said.
Sam, it's Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hi. On coming back to GDPR.
Oh, yes.
I don't know whether this is of any help to you, but in District 95, when I was in a leadership role there, we had like this catch-all form that it's been approved by Toastmasters HQ in America and also in Europe. And basically you get people attending the meeting to sign it, and
yes,
they agree to the degree to which they want to have their data stored and contact and subsequently, etc. And it's sort of a cover-all thing that really stops people then coming back with a legal claim against your club.
Yes, I'm just Googling this because we've been using one as long as Toastmasters asked us to. We've been using this one. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, but I think that sort of covers the scale of things. You know, it stops people coming back to you subsequently. So if you make sure that people complete this, then I think you'd be in the clear and compliant. Not about being in the clear, it's about being compliant.
Yes. Yes, certainly. Hopefully all clubs are already using this form. You're absolutely right about that, Andy. And I think it's still useful to understand what Toastmasters, certainly in our district, thinks is the right treatment if somebody says, could you remove me entirely?
Yeah.
I think that's great. Thanks, Andy. That's very helpful.
Sorry, I'm not sure that we use that form. I know. Where can you access the form?
Right, okay. So I'm going to drop this into the chat so you can just grab it from there.
Yes.
Okay. So when GDPR came out in 2017, 18, something like that, Toastmasters responded with this. In fact, 2018, it's got the date on it. And they said, please, could all clubs use the appropriate one for their country? So
Sam, I have a question in there, and I have another related question. Do you see my question regarding a record?
Let's have a look. Is that Martin?
Yes, Sam.
Yeah. All right. How do I change the record in club charts? Pathways where a speech was accidentally ticked for one path, but it was given in the other path. Oh, yes. Yes, I can show you this. Yep, dead easy. I can show you this, no problem at all. So,
and I have a related one as well while I'm on then. So,
okay. So, in order to do that first bit, so changing what somebody has already done and the meeting's been closed and it's on the chart, it's dead easy. You go back to where it is. Let's say it's this one. Let's say Inca Pinka didn't mean it to be presentation mastery 1.3. It was supposed to be something else. You can still edit in a closed meeting. And you go in and you just click on the workbook and go and put it under the right one. Simple as that. And then save it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I like questions like that. I can fix that.
Okay, well, I stay with it then, because you mightn't get away as easy on the next one.
Oh, no.
And they're related, because what I like is the club charts pathways, and I love that to be right up to date. So two questions on that. One is a person who has given a speeches in another club that may not be using pathways,
yes,
may not be using easySpeak, but you want to update the record. There's no question whatsoever. They gave the speech, the VPE in the other club verified that they gave the speech, but it's not appearing on their pathways record.
Yep, dead easy, dead easy.
Odd.
So I'm on my normal page. And over here on the left-hand side, we've got our accordion buttons. So I go to schedule speeches. In particular, it's on the third one down. And when I go to schedule speeches, I can see everything coming up. It's quite a useful page actually for scheduling your speeches, especially if you've got a really big, long pipeline of people wanting to speak. And you can see if someone's speaking kind of too much as well. We all know who they are. And you have this little slot at the top here, record speech made outside Toastmaster meeting. And you can select, if someone's already put the speech into easySpeak for you, you can go and grab it from that list. But if they haven't, you just press go. She says, go. Come on, easySpeak. Go on, you know you wanna. No? Okay. So it's, yeah, so you have to create the speech. So say it was me that did the speech. So I'll go and request a speech. We'll call it blah, blah, blah. And I will obviously need to define which workbook that's on. So let's grab team collaboration just for the sake of it. There we go. And it doesn't matter about preferred dates. That's kind of irrelevant. I could put it anytime. It's just so that I can save it. So now that speech exists in the system and it will be in this drop-down list. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. So if I grab that and then press go, then there's a pop-up. So I'm just going to stop sharing and I want to show you the pop-up. Hang on a second. I haven't got two screens, so I'm afraid I don't have the luxury of being able to just toggle between the two. Can you see the little pop-up? Yep, great. So it's got the workbook I put it under. It's got speech title, the date. Now you can change it to the date they did it. It doesn't have to be today's date. So if they did it last month, great, no problem, pop that in. And Toastmaster says that in order for it to be eligible as a speech, it has to be evaluated by another Toastmaster. So now the tricky bit here is it will only offer you names in your membership, in your club. And it's quite possible that someone in a different club delivered the evaluation for that person. So the way to get around this, and remember, you're doing this with integrity in your heart. You know that that speech was evaluated properly by another Toastmaster. And what I tend to do is put myself down. Not for a speech that I did, obviously, but if this was a speech of somebody else in the club. So if it is me, I put down Jenny. We have an arrangement that I put her down as my default evaluator. And she's like my, I don't know, my accountability buddy. So she's the one who's always going to make sure that I'm true to myself and vice versa. And then you save the external speech and it will show up exactly where it should do on the pathways. Does that help?
It's great, Sam. If you would just go back 2 steps to where you, that beautiful matrix that you had there with the, when you went to schedule speeches, if you wouldn't mind repeating, because I think that is one. I'm sure there's others on the call. I hope there is. I hope I'm not manipulating this. So that's the one I want to see again. So schedule speech. Yeah. Okay.
So I got it from the side down here. We've got our slidey buttons.
Got that.
The top one. And this is essentially all they've done is shown you the speech slots over the next few meetings. So they don't show you all the roles. It's just the speech slots.
So you went into your name then over here on the right.
Yeah, so I went over to my name just to request a speech, but you can request a speech anywhere that you can find a little green man or a button with the words request speech on it.
Brilliant.
So either you can request the speech as VPE like I did there and make it happen, or they can request the speech in your club, not the other one, in your club, and then you can put them as an external speech and it will remove that off the list of speeches coming up.
So just click that, give us the next step.
Yep. So when you go here, you're just requesting a speech as per normal. You know the box that's come up. I don't need to reshare it. It's the speech title, the workbook, and the preferred dates, as we always see when we request a speech. And then it goes into the list over here, like these ones. And I go, oh, that's the one I want. So I select the right one and I press go. And that's when we get the other one with the date and who evaluated it.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to delete blah, blah, blah now, because I'm like, what's that for?
Sam, whilst we're in this area, if I wanted to give a speech, does it have to be connected to a pathways path, or can I just give a speech?
So the party line on this is it should be part of your path. However, we have things called competitions, which are frequently not part of a path or a pathway. And we give educationals, which might not be part of a path or a pathway. So absolutely you can. And when you request a speech, let's go back to that request a speech button, and I'll share my screen this time. And I'll show that little pop-up. So this is this familiar request a speech box I've been talking about. When we go to the workbook, I've done it under Akash, that's fine. Under this list, you've got competition and other speeches. You've got all the paths, and you've also got, let's have a look. Oh, it's been a while since I've looked down here. Mentor program, distinguished Toastmaster. Yeah, so competition and other speeches or pathways are your choices. When you click on competition and other speeches, it gives you a whole list of stuff to choose from. And there's one called non-manual speech. And you can change the timing. So if someone said, oh no, that was a 12-minute speech, you can go into the agenda like we did when we were adding those items on the agenda and just tweak the times to suit you.
Excellent, excellent, great. That's good, thank you.
No problem. Right, let's have another look at that chat. Done that. How do you generate a rolling agenda? Elizabeth, what's a rolling agenda?
Okay, so you create your agenda, and then you can go in the background and you can say to create I think it's 54 days as maximum, right? And as you close one, it'll open up, say 4 or 5 agendas in advance.
I don't know what you mean.
Right, so so you've got today's agenda going, your meeting's finished, you close it.
Yes.
Right, so you've got today's meeting open, next meeting open, and the next maybe 4 agendas open. So you can go in advance and choose roles.
Yes.
So I have done that before, but
yes.
I'm struggling with the club at the minute. I can't remember how I did it. So when you close tonight's meeting, say you just say, right, I want 4 agendas open in advance. And then you close tonight, then there'll be 3, and then it'll automatically generate the 4th one. But for some reason, I can't remember how I did it.
It doesn't automatically generate any meetings for you, unfortunately. It's a manual process. So
well, I've got a club set up and it does it. So there's always 4 agendas open, and when you close one, it opens the next one. So there's always 4 agendas open.
Oh, okay, that's a new feature I didn't know about.
Yeah, well, I found,
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I played with it back in 2000 and whenever.
Oh, okay.
15, 16, yeah.
Oh, well done. Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to learn how that works.
So you know how you've got your press next there on your screen. So press next, and you've got your next agenda.
Yeah.
And then the agenda's there, and then you go next again, and it would open your next one, and then your next one, your next one. So your agendas are all there.
Yeah, because I put all of these in manually.
Yeah, but and then when it comes to sort of the end, it'll say new event.
Yes.
So, but that new event, if you've got it on a roll, that new event shouldn't come up as a new event. It should just keep opening your agenda, so you can put in which agenda you want. Do you know what I mean?
Right, but you can only plan 4 meetings ahead.
I think so. I think it's 56 days maximum.
Oh, right. Yes. Maybe that's why I didn't turn it on if I did know about it. Yeah. Because that's not far enough ahead for me.
I think that's a maximum.
Yeah.
So in the background. Anyway, I'll have another play then.
To do that kind of change usually means a request into like Christopher or Kit, because it's at the kind of in the area that we're not allowed to touch.
Well, when you're setting up your club and you're putting in your date, your time, and your meeting, then you do your roles for your new committee, and when you're first setting up a new club, and then you go in and you put your meeting time, your location, and then it's got an agenda. How often do you want, and then it asks how many meetings does a person have to go to before you give them a role. And if it's Toastmaster, you might say, oh, they'll have to do at least 4 meetings before we let them be that. No. So it's all in that bit. And then there's a bit that says, when do you want each agenda to open? And it's 56 days is the maximum you can do it.
All right,
but for some reason I'm struggling with time. I can't get it to do it. So I'll have to, and I have the settings the same as I have at the other club, but I must be missing something. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
You can set the agenda for the year, and then you can tweak the agenda as needed, yes. But mine won't. It keep every time I close a meeting, it give the next one, and then the third one it says create new meeting. I said, you shouldn't be telling me that because it should be there. But anyway, I'll just have to play again.
Yeah, you might be right that it has to be set at the point where the club is set up in the first place.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, yeah.
Interesting to know, though.
Yeah.
New today, thank you. A rolling agenda. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the big pink banner, Joanne. Yes. So it's a known problem. Chris and Kit and co know about it. So they're either doing something about it or they're just going to see what happens. So I don't know the deadline for it because I might know a fair bit about easySpeak, but I'm not in the inner circle, shall we say. So I don't know. Sorry about that. Why does the agenda close out about an hour before the meeting? Mainly because you're going to be potentially printing off the agenda for your meeting. So you don't want people to be making last minute changes on you all the time. It's a good thing. The VPE can still make changes to it right up to the last minute, as far as I know. And if you can't, then you can make changes once the meeting is completed. When you're doing your follow-up at the end, it'll always allow you to go back in and adjust what was the truth.
How does that work then, Sam? Is it like whoever is loaded in here as a VPE has additional permissions?
To do what?
To edit it after it's closed.
Oh yeah, so like I'll give you for instance. So because you're a VPE, you're allowed to open and close meetings. So let's reopen last night's meeting. So I'm reopening last night's meeting, and I can go in and I can change any of these to reflect the truth. Maybe I had Jenny in there and Jenny couldn't make it, so someone else stepped in and did it on the night. So I can go in there and just say who did do it.
Right, and that's all because where you are set up within easySpeak, it shows that you are the VPE and gives you the extra permission from there. It does.
I can also do that as IT support as well on other clubs because they named me as IT support, so I can help them out with things.
Okay, but sort of, yeah, so anyone who's got the permission as a VPE, using your VPE capacity, anyone else can do similar and
absolutely
update the agenda. Brilliant. Okay,
absolutely, yes, you can do that, and you can put the word of the day in as well. And not many people use the meeting text. It can be really handy. You can put messages in there about the conference, about contests, reminders for people. Like we've all just decided we're all going to bring in a pack of biscuits, and so we can have bickies when we have our tea. So we'll be putting remember your biscuits, things like that.
If you put something about a contest in there, so the contest was, I don't know, 6 weeks away. If I put it in there today, will it appear in the next one and the next one, or is it only there one time?
Oh no, it's one time only. So, but you can copy and paste it, so you don't have to type it all out.
Okay, right.
And if you don't see the save button, like there's no save button on there, it's either because it's closed, like that one is, or if we go to the one that isn't closed, the new one, see there's no save button, it's grayed out. You have to make sure you click edit meeting text before you do anything, and then you can press save.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Is there a deadline on when you have to close off a meeting after the date of the meeting? There isn't an official deadline, but you can only have 3 meetings open that have yet to be closed down. As soon as it gets to a fourth instance, you can't function anymore in easySpeak for your club. It's forcing you to go and close down the meetings. Even if you have to close them temporarily whilst you get other information, you can always reopen them and do that, make a note of it. You don't need to have them open.
Thank you.
Say again?
Thank you. I said that was me again.
No worries. Thanks, Martin. That's that one done. How many people in my club have access to updating the agendas? The committee do on our club, but that's because we're a very close-knit committee and we've all been in Toastmasters for donkey's ages. So we give them IT support access above and beyond whatever their role is. But I think traditionally it's the meeting manager, whoever that is, and the VPE, possibly the president, maybe the secretary, not sure. Haven't really tried these things out in anger because it's usually me doing everything.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that question is because obviously you've got functionality there to put messages in. So from a PR point of view, if you're trying to communicate messages to the club inside the club, then you can use the platform to do that and also to promote the club. So adding in pictures and so on and so forth. If you've got a themed meeting, you can add a meeting theme in here.
Yep, you just have to remember that if it's online, you can use things like the pictures and whatnot, and it's really lovely and dynamic. If you add pictures and lots of stuff in this space and you're in person, the printing becomes a lot more painful.
Right. Okay.
And if you put a link in, quite often the link, if it's not a bit.ly or something else link, it's going to be hard work to type it in. So just have a think about, are you printing it or is it a digital version?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand it a little bit better because I've not been given access to it because in the past I've used the other platform, and in there you can do all the edits, add pictures in, put messages in, send messages and all sorts of things, but I've only been given very limited access for easySpeak, so I've not really had chance to explore it from an IT point of view.
Okay, so in the back office sort of part, ordinary members can't get to this section. They can view it, but they can't edit it. You'll see you've got your officer list, and you can add more IT support people in the back office. You know, in that club control panel that we went to at the beginning, you can add people in, so you can have more than one or two IT support in here, and they could do that for you if you're PR and you need access to do stuff.
Okay, I will communicate that back. Thank you very much.
Oh, bananas. I see I'm on red, so I'm going to just see if there's maybe one more question I can do. Set up the agenda for the year, tweak the agendas. Yeah, setting up, we can just roll it over here. How many times you do it? Yep, great. Thank you, Margaret, for that. Good top tips there. What is a moment of truth speech to be delivered by the VPE?
Sorry, that's my question. It's just that the VPE has given this every year, and I have that role this year, and I'm just wondering what is it? It's an educational speech, I presume.
Okay, yes. So Moment of Truth is an educational for me successful club series, which interestingly seems to have fallen off easySpeak unless you already had it open. And remember that one that I opened up that was competition and other speeches, that includes educationals in there now.
Yes.
So you can grab one of those, call it whatever you like. And if you Google Moments of Truth, you'll find it. If you put Moments of Truth Toastmasters, it should direct you straight away to the most up-to-date version on the Toastmasters website, which will give you the forms for it, and it should be free to download.